Hear us? Just a thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. So I think, first of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We did open this up to our Australian and New Zealand cousins, our community, and we all love one another up. So, so here we have a beautiful, cosmopolitan, wonderful, beautiful minestrone soup of people from all over the world, from South Africa, from Australia, New Zealand, and who knows who else will be joining us. So thank you for making the time, and I know it's very late in New Zealand at the moment. So we'll try and be quick tonight, and also just open up to some questions from all of you if you have any questions. But first up, just for our South African team members, if you're in our team and listening in, we're pretty much going to just fill everyone in Australia and New Zealand on the things that we've already discussed with you guys in our previous Zoom chat. So there's not much new for you. So if you want to remove yourself at any time from this, unless you want to just be with us and soak it all in, please feel free to do so, and we can chat later. And it's so nice to see my sister Yvette's smile on there. When sisters are removed so far across the ocean, it's always just the most beautiful thing. So okay, I think I'm gonna let Craig do most of the talking because he remembers better, and I can go off on a little bit of a tangent sometimes. So over to Craig.
Cool. So I thought what we'd do is give you a heads up on what we know currently. We were fortunate enough to be on a telephone hookup that we were invited to with Greg Cook a couple of weeks ago, just before Global Convention. Everyone's on mute at the moment, but if you have questions, please unmute yourself, wave madly, and interrupt us along the way, because the whole idea of this is to get questions answered and try and help you as much as we can. So to fill you in as to where we're at now, and then I'll give you an update on what's going on. So right now at the moment, there are a few people in South Africa, Yvette and Erica and Elise included, who are on this call, who have fortunately been approached by global markets and been asked to do beta testing of the South African logon and online system. So that beta testing of the South African system should start this week. Erica, I think you're part of that, and that they've said should start within the next 2 or 3 days. So they've indicated somewhere between the 2nd of October and probably the 7th or 8th, that beta testing is going to happen. So what they've been asked to do is to trial out the system. They're going to have access to the South African market for logon. They'll be able to play around with their back office. They'll be able to see who they've got enrolled, and they are going to be offered the opportunity to enroll people during that beta testing time as part of a trial to make sure that the system's working. So we're fortunate that we've got a couple of people who've been asked to do that, and that's fantastic. So they also then have to give that feedback back to head office as to whether everything's working, that the prices are all looking good, etc., etc. Now, right now at the moment, we still don't know the prices of anything.
I've got an idea though.
Yeah, I'll touch on that in a minute. But we don't have any official pricing. And I'll talk about what we know about kits and what products, and I'll share our website where we've got the list of that product on our website. But obviously when the beta testing launches in the next 2 or 3 days, these guys are going to have access to see what the actual pricing is, and then we will have visibility of that, and we'll be able to start sharing with all of you what they've set that pricing at in South Africa. What we do know right now is the equivalent membership fee in South Africa is 400 Rand a year, or 400 Rand to join initially if they don't buy a kit, and it's 320 Rand a year renewal fee. And the only reason I know that is because I've seen the application form which Yvette and Erica and them have been sent to complete as part of the beta testing. So the equivalent of $35 US, it's actually cheaper the 400 Rand. If you do the exchange rate conversion, it's cheaper than the US equivalent of 35. So South Africa is getting the benefit of an exchange rate. However, we're obviously encouraging people to start with a starter kit instead of pay the 400 membership and pay the price for the oils. So a little bit of background. So Greg Cook actually grew up and spent quite a bit of time in Southern Africa, in Swaziland. So he has a very personal vested interest in the South African market. And I'm quite sure we'll see him in South Africa himself as part of the doTERRA management team. And he's very keen to see the South African market growing. So the beta testing will run probably for the next week or so. And once they're comfortable that everything's working and operational, they will then give a green light and switch on the South African market to everyone. So fingers crossed, within the next 2 weeks, the market will show up on everyone's dashboard, and you will then be able to enroll people in South Africa, and anyone in South Africa will be able to enroll and purchase product. The process is that anyone currently who has a global access account with a South African address will be automatically converted to a South African account by doTERRA head office as part of the transition.
And those with an Australian address.
And we've got some global access that had an Australian address. They all being converted because they are proper global access members. There are, however, a lot of people in South Africa who have UK accounts, Australian accounts, or American accounts. They will not be automatically converted. Those people are going to have to wait until the market opens, and they will have to contact doTERRA and physically ask them to convert whatever account they may have to a newer South African account. And then they will have to provide their South African identity number, because there's obviously taxation implications. And on the South African application form, there's a place for the South African ID number to be completed. So anyone who has a non-global access account will have to go through that process of requesting it to be completed. And that they will only be able to do once the market is open. The global access ones, as I said, will open automatically. So doTERRA have officially appointed an operations manager in South Africa. He's a gentleman by the name of Dean Naidu. He's got 20 years experience in logistics management, and he will run the operations. They've got a logistics center out of Johannesburg. They have their first shipping load of oils that is cleared and is on the ground ready. Obviously, it needs to be if we beta testing from this coming week. And that warehouse is in Johannesburg. They have undertaken to do their best to set a fixed price shipping from Johannesburg to all cities across South Africa. And they're hoping for that to be somewhere in the region of between, they're talking about between $5 and $8 US. So probably 60 to 100 Rand as the fixed shipping price. I'm not sure what that's going to be. So irrespective of what people are going to buy, they're going to try and get a fixed shipping price for those products. Anyone in South Africa who is a wellness advocate will have the opportunity to then register their bank details with doTERRA. They've set up the banking system the same as we know it in Australia and New Zealand. They'll be paying commissions directly into bank accounts in exactly the same way as we know it. So they'll be paid on Fridays for their fast start, and then obviously once a month around the 15th will be the uni-level and bonuses for the month as well. So that'll be paid directly through direct debit into bank accounts. They all set up with a banking. They'll be able to take Visa, MasterCard, and a debit card as well. So it doesn't have to be credit, it can be a debit card. And they're working on, not yet ready, but they're working on direct deposit as well, but they'll get to that as well. But there's no Amex available, it's only Visa and MasterCard and a debit card in South Africa. Because there's no South African head office yet, there's no click to purchase option. It has to be mailed to you. You can't actually go and pick it up at the warehouse because they don't have those facilities yet in South Africa. They have made an offer to a doTERRA staff member in America to be appointed as National Sales Manager for South Africa. They haven't gone public on who that is because they were finalizing that over convention, but hopefully we'll know in the next week or so who's going to head over to South Africa and head that one up. But they have allocated 2 account managers already to the South African market. I think their details are on the doTERRA South Africa Facebook page. And anyone in South Africa who gets to silver will be serviced by those 2 account managers. They're 2 guys in Utah who've been with doTERRA for many years, so really, really knowledgeable, I understand, and will be able to help the people who come on board in SA. So the plan is there's around about 40 products that we have on our website, a list of what was provided. What I'm just going to do is type in our healthywealthy.co.za. So we have a South African website. That's our business name, Healthy Wealthy. I've just put it up on chat for everyone. Healthywealthy.co.za. If you go up and have a look at buy oils, there is a list of the oils available and the products that will be launched in South Africa. And they have 3 enrollment kits that they will be starting with in South Africa from this next week. So those 3 kits are the Home Essentials kit, as we know it, the 10 oils with the diffuser, the Family Essentials kit, which is obviously the 5 ml version of that without the diffuser, and then the Aroma Touch Professionals kit as a 3rd kit. Now, the Aroma Touch obviously is fantastic because there's a group of people in South Africa already in Cape Town that are qualified and trained as Aroma Touch technique professionals. So we think that the Aroma Touch will become really popular in South Africa for people who want to get in hands-on, no pun intended, but want to get hands-on and start offering the Aroma Touch technique as part of the doTERRA business opportunity. So, and hence why they've got the Aroma Touch kit available. So those are the 3 kits.
They can't do Aroma Touch there yet.
No, they won't be able to. They won't be able to do it yet, but if they get qualified, obviously through international means, they've got to follow the normal Aroma Touch qualification process in order to get qualified. But there are some people in Cape Town who are already qualified. They've had it done globally through some other folks. So as I say, on our website, we've got a list of those oils. Briefly, as you would expect, it's the 40 most popular products, with the exception Lifelong Vitality is not there. So it's oils. It's the lavenders, the peppermints. They do have Copaiba. So Copaiba is on the list in South Africa, which everyone is over the moon about. Very, very excited about Copaiba. I know certainly Erica and her team and Yvette have been playing with Copaiba and really, really love it. So it's great that they've got that. They've got the Breathe, the Lemon. Digesten is going to be called Zengest. There are a couple that they're doing different names. They've got the On Guard, Eucalyptus, Serenity, Lavender Peace, and the list is on there. So that's all that's there. They will have fractionated coconut oil. They have got the conditioner and shampoo products in South Africa, and they've got the hand wash, and they've got a selection of the Virage products. I don't yet know which ones of the Virage, but they mentioned the toner, and I'm not sure. I don't personally use them.
There'll be Virage products. I'm not sure which ones.
So there are Virage products as well. So the nice thing is that there's some replacement product in the On Guard hand washes and the soaps and shampoos. So it's a great opportunity to talk to people about the loyalty program and start doing replacement of some of their home products with some of the On Guard product, which is really exciting. So we got a commitment from Greg that they want to double and or triple that number of product over the first 6 months or so. So they're really, really keen to get the volume obviously moving, to get the demand, and then start shipping in more and more of that product into South Africa. So I'm certain, and knowing doTERRA, by middle of next year, we should see 80 to 100 odd products, and that was Greg's commitment to everyone a week or so ago. So let's watch this space and see how they go. A couple of them, well, the most. Yeah, okay. Let me take a breath.
Has anyone got any questions so far that you just want to
unmute yourself if you need to.
And just okay.
No one's waving madly.
I do have a quick wee question. Just
Sure, Jodie.
website looks fantastic. So cardiovascular immune. You can say all those words over in South Africa. No, okay, that's fine.
We want to follow. We want to at this point follow, Jodie, the American guidelines until they've got full guidelines for claims, and there's pretty much the same as what's happened with us here. Until in South Africa they've got their own claims that they can make. So just following the American guidelines and let's not make health claims as such. Not on written media.
Okay.
And maybe just on the same point as well, is that to remember that in South Africa, the internal use is not approved. So that's really important, that when we're saying to our teams to start using the old Empower kit that's got the basic 10 oils on it, but we've made a document that we've put on our South African group that has the internal uses on all those oils removed. So they can use that, for example, and make up their own. But yeah, just to be very aware of that.
No, that's good. So what's written on your website as an example that's compliant?
I'd hope so, Craig.
I've effectively cut and pasted the oil details out of the pips from the US material. So I believe at this point it is. Thank you for raising that with me, Jodie. I will check that again.
Yeah, I think we need to probably just.
But I think the important bit, as Tess said, is that the products are going into South Africa as registered cosmetics. And under that cosmetic registration in South Africa, you can only talk about topical and aromatic. So there's not to be, and doTERRA compliance will be extremely strict on social media in South Africa. There's not to be any mention on social media of internal, and we've got to be very aware of that now.
Having said that, though, is that in your classes, as long as no one is videoing, or do you know what I mean? As long as no one's writing anything or taking screenshots or anything like that, if it's between you and me having a chat, I would certainly say to someone, hey, you know what I do is I take a drop of copaiba in a capsule, or a bit of lemon water or Smart and Sassy. I do that. So when we talk about it in our classes, as Greg says, as long as we stay out of the printed media, where things can be shared, and we don't want to do that. So it's pretty much the same, I guess, just in sort of the same way as what we treat claims over here in Australia and in New Zealand. Is the way we've got to treat the internal usage over there.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for your question, Jodie.
I will check my website. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jodie.
All right, just
other questions perhaps from anyone at the moment? Just wave or unmute yourself. There we go. Elise is waving.
I just want everyone just to notice. I'm going to put you on the spot there, Elise. If you think I've got a South African accent, please hear this beautiful South African accent. You're up, Elise.
I can't unmute you. Just hang on a second.
You have to unmute yourself.
Erica, can you unmute yourself?
We're all
there
waiting.
You go. Oh,
no, can't hear you.
Microphone's dead.
Can't hear you.
Oh. Yeah, the microphone's not working. You might have to type your question, sorry.
We're going to have to wait for that lovely accent. Just type your question for us, Elise and Erica. And anyone else that want to unmute themselves at the moment?
Quiet. No, it's quiet.
Sorry, guys. Erica, Elise, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Type your question.
Type a question. I'll put the accent to it if we need to.
All right.
Alrighty.
We're going to carry on. And
Yep, so maybe a couple of other points. So obviously they will ship out of Johannesburg. The plan is to do twice a day shipment. So if you get an order in before 10 a.m. in the morning, they hopefully are planning to ship by lunchtime. And then if you put an order in the afternoon, they will ship before the end of day. They haven't yet confirmed, but are hoping to have the shipping rewards points as well, as we know it in Australia and New Zealand. But obviously there will be loyalty points under the normal loyalty rewards program. There were questions asked as to whether people in Namibia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique can enroll or register. At this point, doTERRA will not be able to ship from Johannesburg to other Southern African countries right now. But if any of those people have a way of getting it, obviously, to a South African and then across the border, that's up to them. But doTERRA have asked for us to provide input and tell them where there are people and demand in those nearby countries. And then their logistics team will work with the South African government on export and export duties and the process to get it across the border and how that all works.
Does that mean, though, that those countries would be global access?
I don't know. We
don't know.
We don't have details yet. So there's all sorts of legalities around whether they can have a South African account and deliver it to another address. But at this point, the opening, as we know it now, will be South African residents shipped to a South African mailing address across or in South Africa. So yeah, loyalty program, that's all that. So the plan was that during October, doTERRA head office are hoping to run some of the, as we know, get to know doTERRA workshops across South Africa, and also get to know the doTERRA business workshops. The plan is to do that sometime in October, and then they indicated that they were hoping before Christmas to do an official South African launch event, at which stage there's obviously then invitations to head office and global Prezi Diamonds, etc., to attend a big South African global launch. Now, I believe they're doing one in the Philippines in the next month or so, because that one's just opened and they've just advertised that their tickets available for the Philippines one. So obviously South Africa was the next main event after that. So fingers crossed, sometime November, who knows, or early December, they might be doing a big official function somewhere or across South Africa.
There are no dates available yet for the functions that they will be having and the training that they'll be having in October. So we'll keep you up to date. We'll post in the leaders groups on that when we're here.
Watch this space. Because South Africa is obviously product registered as cosmetic, doTERRA have had to go and have a look at all of the Empower guides that we know. They've indicated that they've started working on changing the material. There will be a share guide and a build guide that it will be approved for South African use. They were working on changing the live guide as we know it and South Africanizing it to make it sure that it's appropriate. At this point, the guides will only be available in English. There's obviously some demand for other languages as well, and that's something that they will have a look at as soon as they can get on the ground in South Africa. So there will be obviously some of those guides, and there's the welcome kit that people will get as part of that enrollment. All right. They have indicated that, moving on to the really important stuff, there will be a South African Founders Club, and there will be more information disclosed on what that looks like. At this point, there'll be somewhere between 15 and 25 positions for the first Founders Club in South Africa. And their planned requirements, and this was what we've been told is the planned requirement, is that the person will need to rank gold and have at least 90% of their downline in South Africa, and rank gold for 3 successive months or higher in order to qualify for the first in best dressed 15 to 25 positions as founders for South Africa. Obviously, as we're aware, founders get paid a 1% of annual sales, which could be pretty amazing for anyone who's interested in being a founder in the South African market.
We have a founder of Australia on this call, our wonderful grandparents in this business, Adish and Santoshi. Adish is actually in Germany, I think, still at the moment, so Santoshi is on this call. It's something quite amazing to be able to participate in that and to be a founder of, there's Grandma. I love you, Santoshi. So yes, if you can get your teams, and I certainly would like to see that for those of us who are so interested in growing the South African market together with our families and friends over there, to help and support them into those positions of foundership. So I say, let's do this. Let's just get out there and go be founders in the country and do it the right way.
Alrighty. We've spoken about claims. So they've indicated that once they open and start seeing where the business is growing and where the demand is, they will then decide on a location for a South African head office. They're obviously tossing up between sort of the Johannesburg, Pretoria area and or Cape Town, and it turned into an argument on the call as to where they want the head office to be. But they'll wait and see and get that organised down the track. So I don't think there's any clarity around what that looks like. As far as pricing goes, and again, Tess said we've got an idea. It's very much going to come down to a wait and see as to how well doTERRA are able to manage the process. Greg indicated that because South Africa has import duty and a VAT system, we can anticipate that it may be up to 10% markup or more on the American pricing. So we're going to need to watch and see what that looks like. And obviously they're going to do their best because they've got to manage exchange control as well as import duty and VAT, which is a South African item that we don't need to worry about. So it's certainly not going to be cheaper than what we know, and certainly not cheaper than the American pricing. However, what we've experienced is the more you focus on the benefits, the more you focus on the success stories, the more you focus on the amazing results and the uses of the product, the less it becomes an issue talking about the pricing side.
And also just remember, it's a wonderful way of telling people over there, if you look at the price, how can you pay for your own essential oils? And remember, you're going to get paid in US dollars. You're going to be smiling all the way to the bank. So keep that in mind, because the oils might seem a little bit expensive at first for people in South Africa, but when they realize what the income potential is, and also, you know, just getting the power of 3, for example, of $50 in the bank every month to pay for part of their essential oils. If people understand that, and therefore I think the education around the compensation, the power of 3, the fact that they can earn their oils if they share it with other people, is going to be a really powerful conversation to have in South Africa because of the pricing that people might look at and go, oh, that's expensive. But let me also tell you, we get that everywhere. Okay, everywhere in the world, people are saying, oh, but it's expensive. So you're always going to have people who are going to be able to go, yeah, that's great, the pricing's great. And then you're going to get people who are going to say it's expensive. So, you know, just cover that in the best way you possibly can, and with your teams, highlight the income potential and the power of 3 that they can earn if they host a class for you, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Lots of positives to that.
There is a question just around the founders' requirements. Obviously, as many of you may know, people like Hayley Hobson is a founder in Europe. So there isn't a requirement that you have to be a South African citizen or resident in order to be a founder. But you obviously have to have a gold business with 90% of that downline in South Africa. So it doesn't matter who you are, wherever you are in the world, you need to have 3 legs and rank 90% of those people in South Africa, ranking you just on them gold for those 3 months in order for you to meet the requirements as a founder. So there are people globally who've done that in other countries, as you're probably aware. So it's certainly feasible if you have 3 great builders in South Africa who are South African and 90% of their downline is South African, and they all, build an equivalent of a gold business. You can become a founder no matter where you are in the world. So that is an option if you've got that sort of a connection. Okay, questions, others? One of the things that they are extremely excited about in South Africa, which is something that's not available anywhere else in the world, is South Africa has something called the Complementary and Alternative Medicines Registration. And doTERRA are investigating the registration of their oils as complementary and alternative medicines. Now, if they get that through, that'll be even more important than having them TGA approved in Australia, because that means in South Africa, they will actually be able to market them as alternative medicine. Now, South Africa obviously has a very traditional culture of herbal medicine and a background in a history of herbal and all sorts of alternative medicines. So if we can keep pressing doTERRA to do that, and obviously as we see doTERRA developing their clinics and health centers in America, this will be amazing for the South African market, which South Africans, as you may or may not know, are going through a massive health crisis with private healthcare issues and everything potentially looking to be converted into a centralized medical system and private healthcare being shut down. So, if we can support this process by having registered product that can be registered as an alternative medicine effectively, it will mean amazing things in the South African market.
I get so excited about that.
And
the fact is that doTERRA, that they are so incredibly switched on, so amazing, and they look into things like this. And so when doTERRA goes into the South African market, no stone will go unturned, I'll let you know. And there was also a very important message from Greg Cook, and that we know that another company, another big company, has also launched in South Africa. And he was just like, he's basically just laughing, and he's just saying, don't worry about it, okay? Just don't worry about the other company that's there. doTERRA has got the market. It's going to be just incredible and amazing. And I just wanted to say something off Greg's comments, just away from Greg's comments. And we had a Zoom chat earlier on tonight, which is earlier on this morning for our South African friends, with a lovely African lady who said to me, no offense mentioned, Tess, but we only see white people doing doTERRA. And I started to smile internally. And I thought to myself, this is something we have to share, because the Black colored community in South Africa are so keen and so eager, and they make up what's the percentage? Yvette, what's the percentage of South Africans, Megan?
We are 4%.
What we as in white people?
White people, 4%.
Caucasian, yeah, 4%. So, Megan.
I've got actually got a builder waiting. She's a Black South African lady in East London, and she's waiting. We've been waiting for a month. I actually sent a kit out, a Home Essentials kit out to her, gifted it to her so she could just start playing with the oils.
Oh, great.
So we've been waiting and waiting for her to sign up. She's already been sharing a lot, but yeah, so there's a black lady that's really excited.
Can I ask what her first name is?
Mavis.
Oh, okay. It's not our lady from East London. I was just going
We
to
also got a
say
lady in East London.
there's a lot of ladies in East London ready to get started. That's fantastic, Megan. And
So good.
you know, so what I'm trying to say to you is, look at 96% of the South African population who are extremely open to natural health remedies, and who are also part of very much a growing middle class in South Africa, if I may be so bold as to say that. And they're looking for opportunities. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's all I want to say on the topic. But doTERRA is for everyone, and doTERRA is for, if you want to make a successful business over in South Africa, I would certainly want to look at 96% of the population.
Can I just ask a practical question? Just in terms of, I'm quite a new builder myself. Obviously, I'm still learning how to do it in Australia, but just some practical tips how to support your new builder from across the ocean when you're not there on the ground. I'm hoping to go next year, but I need to get my passports renewed and all that kind of thing. But I know we can do Zoom calls, but are there any other ways that, we can support them across the ocean?
I just think as much as possible communication and being responsive. And the way that we've done it, we've got Yvette on the call, and we've got Erica and Elise, who are part of our team over there in South Africa on the call. And I reckon it's just a case of, at the moment, because the market hasn't been opened, we haven't been as active, but these guys have been, they've been very active and proactive. So just having, I guess what we're going to be doing soon is to set up regular training calls with our team, and just as much as possible communication, Megan, and being very responsive to the team. And nothing is too much to ask, because it's just know that that's going to be something that's going to be required of us who've got teams there who are growing, is we're going to have to put the work in, and it might be at some ungodly hour of the day, or
which is an interesting point, because we're actually looking to run webinars at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning for us, which is 8 o'clock at night in South Africa. But we're going to need to do that initially to get things working, so that it is at a time that works for them. So number one, that's a priority for us. The other thing that I think is really important, Megan, is to keep things as simple as possible.
Oh, yes.
What we have found is there is an absolute flooding of information, of YouTube, of videos, of business training, of Teresa Harding's business placement training, of all sorts of things, all great material. But we've been dealing with one new enrollee over there who is amazingly excited, and she's like, what do I do? There's just too much stuff.
Where do I start?
So we're really dumbing it down. And, I know Jesse and leaders always say, do the basics, go back to basics. Think about a names list, share the story, and get that first enrollment going, and then repeat above and do it over and over again. And try and find one or two basic videos that work for you and your story, or make them yourself, or get your South African team even better to make it that it's South African, and see if you can find someone over there that can start helping produce that material and play a lead in the group. I think the other thing that all of us need to offer is, between all of us, we're going to be traveling to South Africa at different times over the next 12, 18, 24 months. Let's put our hand up, let's be honest, and let's share with each other when we're going, and let's follow the protocol. And as we've done with Elise and Erica and Yvette in South Africa in June when Tess was there, you make sure you do a register of who's attending, you send them back to where they came from, but you open those functions to people on the ground in South Africa.
Only if it's big functions, but I mean, if it's a home-based class, you do home-based classes. But Craig's right in terms of, we're very open to supporting you, Megan, for example, and anyone. And that's why we've opened the Zoom call as well to everyone, because there's such a need over there, and we want to support everyone who wants to go and and you know, do amazing things and help people, help women and families rise in South Africa. That's how I feel in my
Because
heart.
my build is very much on her own at the moment, and
Yeah.
as I said, like she's my first builder, so it's not like I've got
Yeah.
a lot to draw from. It's sort of like learning across the ocean is different how you would do it.
Well, you're most welcome to join in whenever we're doing a training or anything like that.
Thank you.
Maybe just send us a little personal message with, you know, connect with me personally, and then, you know, anyone here who is new to building and starting to build in South Africa, we're certainly happy for you to join some of our.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think if we keep talking to each other, it's not going to take long before there are 5, 10, 15 people enrolled in a city, and we then start encouraging them to do, you know, once a month get together and have a conversation and
So
share
important.
ideas. Like, we need to encourage that, because they're not going to know to do that.
Yeah, and form communities.
Unless we encourage a business community like we have in Brisbane or Gold Coast, or, you know, Perth events and those sort of things. So let's all keep sharing those stories and communicate and see if we can help build a couple of those communities in the major cities.
So keep it really, really simple, Megan. Keep it simple and lots of communication, and grow with your team.
So would you recommend doing a Zoom, like a couple of Zoom classes to support initially?
Yeah. So certainly do that. Do some classes, connect with them, answer questions, learn with your team as you go. But I also think, and it's something that I'm getting into this week now in our members group, I'm going to start doing short little videos on the how-to. So how do you talk about loyalty rewards? How do you do a wellness consult? So I'll just do very small little videos, and that's my job this week, to do a few things like that in our members only group. So these are little things that you can maybe think about, as well as do those Zoom chats and talk about specific topics, but keep it simple. I want to just stress that, because otherwise, because you want to duplicate, you don't, you know, simple is duplicable.
Okay, thank you.
All right, fine. Anyone else?
Yvette, yeah, you had a question. I'm just going to unmute you. Yep.
Here's the accent, everyone.
I just want to tell her that Contact South Africa is welcome to contact me. I can also help her with ideas and, you know, give her ideas what to do and how to get people, you know, so that she can feel she's talking to somebody in South Africa.
Perfect. Thank you, Yvette. And this is exactly what we want. If you're in a certain area, or not even, but if, you know, if we can just support one another like that, it will be fantastic. This is not just I'm doing this for myself. We're doing doTERRA in the spirit of doTERRA, which is communities and helping one another. And especially when women help one another, I tell you what, the whole earth just shudders with thankfulness. So let's do that. Very, very good. Thank you, Yvette. Appreciate it.
Other questions from anyone? I've depleted my list of things to share with you. Unfortunately, I don't have any other major news other than what you've got.
We're just super excited now. It's finally happening. And I know, please spread the news amongst your friends and your teams, and just let everyone know what's happening, what's going on, what you've heard here tonight, and get some excitement going, and start, you know, just get people to line up and get their names lists done. Get the names list done. That's the most important thing. So,
Marcy, did you have a question? I see there's a little blue wave of hand. I'll unmute you. Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good.
I'm a Cape Townian who is in Australia, and I've now moved to England, and I've been back here a week.
Beautiful.
So super excited about the South African launch. I thank you for all your support.
Welcome.
And that community thing, I think, is amazing. One of the things that I found living in Australia, a lot of people don't realize the size of South Africa. And, you know, when people say, "Are you from South Africa?" "Oh, do you know so and so?"
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And when we had, like, this community help and support is crucial because, you know, my list of my people are down in Cape Town. So it would be amazing to find out where is everybody, because, you know, I'm down in, you know, my team are going to be down in the Cape predominantly. So if there are people there that can help and support, that would be great. So it would be good to have an idea of, you know, where everyone is, because you've got East London. I mean, I know you guys are what, 10-hour drive from Cape Town? Or,
yeah.
It'll be good to find out where people are based, so then we can say, okay, so-and-so's down in the Cape, or this one's up in Joburg, or that would be fab.
So I was thinking at some point personally, I was thinking of creating a South African wellness advocate group, just a Facebook group. And I know but I think that is the only way that we're going to get people to connect from all over the country. And also when there are functions like corporate functions and things like that. Thanks, Santoshi.
I think so,
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we do that. So Masley, that's a really good point, and that's just, I have been thinking about that. It's just been too early to do that.
Yeah.
But as soon as the market opens, I think I wonder if you guys are welcome to connect with me on Facebook Messenger or something like that, and just connect with me so that I then can connect you guys into that group somehow, because otherwise I won't, you know, I need a way to connect with you and call you into that group, and then you can add your people in and we can start building that group and just open it up and and just spread the word that that's our whole of South Africa community to get started.
I think just for everyone's benefit at the moment, as Yvette said, Yvette is up Bloemfontein Way, Vepner, and obviously spends time in J-Bay area with my in-laws, with Tessa's mum and Yvette's mum. Erica and Elise are up in Pretoria. They've been actively going for a year and a bit. And then we've obviously got some folks in Cape Town and East London as well, Cape Town, East London. So we do have sort of in the main areas, we've got one we're working with in Durban at the moment, but we don't have much going on in Durban. So we do have those areas currently. So if we start communicating, let's put those connections together and start helping as everyone starts growing that community.
Okay, so I'll create that group maybe within the next week or so. I'll create that group and we can start putting people in. I've got a lot of things that I need to do in this coming week, so that can be on the to-do list. And then I can add all of you in, and you can add all of your people in. And if you don't want to be a part of it, you remove yourself. How's that? Easy.
Can I just ask, I missed the first 4 minutes of the call. You're talking about the beta testing. I didn't hear it, so I didn't want to repeat it all, but just give a summary of that and when the launch date is most likely to be.
Summary?
Yeah, sure. So summary, there's a small group of people in South Africa that are being asked to test the back office system in South Africa. That'll kick off this week. All going well, as long as the beta testing's fine, it'll be into next week sometime. So 10 days from now, let's hope, fingers crossed.
They're like major bugs.
If everything's working,
take longer, but
so once the beta testing's gone, then they'll turn it on globally for everyone and in South Africa. So
and then it will be on our system that we can then enroll.
That's correct. So then anyone who's got a doTERRA back office will be able to log in, and South Africa will then come up as a country, not as a global access option. And then you'll have wholesale customer and wellness advocate. You can do both of those in South Africa. They'll obviously be
everything's
the same process as we.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
So fingers crossed. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll do that. And then obviously as part of the beta testing, some people will have visibility of pricing and kit prices. As soon as we can see that, we'll share that information with everyone who is interested to find out what the prices are. But I'm sure that those prices will get out fairly quickly if you see any of the groups and those discussions as soon as people get access to testing.
Okay, so just thank you everyone for your comments. And Jeanette, yeah, absolutely. And share with people. All good.
All of this information is publicly available. Greg Cook said, tell everyone whatever we've told you. There's no secrets involved here. You know, unfortunately, they couldn't get the whole world onto the call that he had. So what they did was they invited people who had elite downlines in South Africa onto the call. So that was just what they had to do. And then they contacted those people and said, let's have a telephone hookup. but the information's out there. So we'll keep sharing as we get hold of info, and I'm sure the South African friends of ours are extremely excited.
Yeah, feel free to connect. Feel free to connect with me just through Facebook Messenger if you have any questions or comments. Anyone else want a last comment or a question before we say goodbye?
All good.
All good. All done. And the winner is
South Africa's the winner.
South Africa.
Thank you, Santoshi. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely evening, and thanks for joining us from New Zealand.
I'm so happy to have you all on this course. So exciting.
Cheers, everyone.
Yvette, can you stay on?
See ya.